This is Things You Might Not Have Heard, and I am Jay Cleveland Payne. Today, I have 8 stories queued up for you, including, yes, more on Liberation Day, also Eric Adams, Barack Obama, and 5 other stories to queue out these 8 stories for today. We are covering information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. We'll explain the vetting process and how these 8 stories got to be these 8 stories in just a bit, but remind you that our website home is this. It's theconversationproject.com. Stop by our home and see what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it in ways. And of course, email me with your questions, comments, and any concerns at the email box, the conversation inbox at gmail.com. 8 stories, as I said, for this Thursday, April the 3rd, 2025. No particular order as are being presented here, but these are some of the more conversational stories as per vetted by you. The full explanation of how that happens in just a bit. And of course, we have to continue with the Liberation Day. Now, we teased yesterday opening up with Liberation Day, but not talking about it because we didn't know what it exactly was. 4 o'clock, more or less Eastern time, Donald Trump walked out to the Rose Garden for a talk, had a desk right there to sign some stuff, and of course, in a big old coat, because it actually was kind of chilly on that day in D.C., although the cherry blossoms are blooming. We'll get to them in a bit, of course. But he opened up talking about this big liberation from the world and how the world is treating us bad with all these tariffs, just cheating us out of money. And so he essentially lobbied tariffs on everything, everyone, every person, every nation under every tongue. You could make it biblical, literally, because it just basically everybody's putting tariff on us. So we're doing the same, if not a little bit more towards anybody else. And he says, you probably shouldn't retaliate because that'll just make it worse. Which is true, but he's also upping the antes on all tariffs to everyone pretty much immediately as he signed the documents. Now, at midnight, the tariffs he announced before were already coming into place, but these new tariffs are now basically in place at this point in time. It'll take a while to actually get into the books, but we're going to see how this thing actually plays out. If you're watching the video, and hopefully today we actually have a video, you see Donald Trump, this large chart. He said he had a bigger chart, but it was so windy, he didn't want to put it out there and have it fall, so he had to hold the chart up and sort of read it out loud on all the tariffs that all these countries are putting on us, including various tiny nations that you wouldn't expect. So everybody's getting tariffs. China's getting tariffs. Europeans getting tariffs. Japanese getting tariffs. Everyone's getting tariffs, and everybody is freaking the hell out about this one. Of course, as this happened after the stock markets closed, stock markets dipped afterwards because they knew craziness was coming, and they're still down this morning as I'm recording this. Very, very many hours before it actually opens up. Maybe there'll be a way to rebound it. Chances are for the next couple of days, futures will be down by, I'm not an analyst, I'll talk about that later as well, 5-6% going forward over the next couple of days. Now, many other big time companies that use other nations for many of their parts, and we already know that the auto parts makers are dealing with this, but Apple, Amazon, Meta, and Nvidia, who do a lot of business in Asian markets and foreign markets as well, had some declines in their stock specifically because of what they do. Work with other people, and with other people mad at us, they may not work with them as much as they'd like to see. We will see how this thing plays out in days to see if there's any way to fix it, or within weeks, months, and years to see how bad it's going to get. How bad is the work that Elon Musk is doing for the Doge stuff? Well, we had a bit of a freak out scare as Elon Musk has said that the Social Security fraud disclosures that he put out there alarmed top enforcement officials. Let me read the article so you can get the gist of it before I go into my sort of Elon disdain, because it's there. While still serving as Department of Government Efficiency head, although he's taken up the head, it was recently disclosed that advanced knowledge of an impacting arrest related to Social Security fraud during a live stream tele-rally supporting Wisconsin's Supreme Court candidate Brad Schimmel happened. Musk stated, "I believe someone is going to be arrested tomorrow," referring to an individual who was accused of stealing 400,000 Social Security numbers and selling personal information on fraudulent financial gains. This revelation has unsettled top law enforcement officials as it pertains to an ongoing federal investigation. Basically, he's out there outing things while they're working on bigger fish. He's dropping little bombs like, I think this guy's going to get picked up, while he's being reviewed for the bigger fish looking to be caught later down the field. Standard protocol typically refrains from announcing arrests before they occur, which is always a bad thing because you don't want them to be spooked and run off. And the integrity of the operations and safety personnel involved gets kind of squirrely because they may retaliate. Sources familiar with the matter indicated that Musk's comments were unexpected, as they tend to be, potentially disruptive to investigation, as they pretty much are. He further elaborated on the alleged fraud, linking it to broader issues of legal immigration and voter fraud, because it's all connected. His Doge work is supposed to be, was framed around government efficiency, and you may get to see why Vivek Ramaswamy wanted no part of this craziness, because it basically comes down to conspiracy theories, random thoughts, and just cutting people's numbers just to do stuff, as opposed to doing things in a manner that makes sense. These are things that when he bought Tesla, he didn't actually found Tesla, and he bought SpaceX, didn't actually build it from the ground up, he was able to do pretty quickly and kind of do in that brash manner and turn it into what it was. And people saw it as, you know, the whole Iron Man thing, him being a Tony Stark sort of figure that's just kind of doing things that's wild, but hitting the right notes and getting things right in the end. You can't do that with a government because it means a lot of things. And these people tend to lean on the government to take care of them, especially when the government is actually screwing them over because they worked for the government. The Department of Justice has not issued an official comment regarding Musk's disclosure. However, the incident underscores the complexities of potential conflicts arising from Musk's dual role as a high-profile entrepreneur and a government official involved in sensitive investigations. Being the two don't really jive very much. Speaking of jiving very much, here's a story that gets a bit more interesting as we get more of the actual nuance in what happened and how it went around. Now, we know that the former Joint Chiefs staff was fired pretty much unceremoniously as soon as the Trump administration took over, as soon as Deutsch got into place, and he was, in all purposes, taken away from being a DEI hire. He basically had thoughts and processes that weren't going to align with what Donald Trump wanted, and he was black. Those two things may not be exclusively mutually exclusive. They may have something to do with each other. So Trump nominates a new guy, a guy known as Raising Cane. Raising Cane. Lieutenant General Dan Raising Cane, nominated by President Donald Trump, the retired Air Force Lieutenant General, and he's going to most likely be the next chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff. But he addressed the Congress in a hearing, basically working on his confirmation, and basically refuted many of the claims that Donald Trump gave, just that were, you know, rising and very remarkable things that, you know, were good for him. But the biggest thing was the whole, he showed up wearing a Make America Great hat, in the 2018 meeting in Iraq. He was wearing that when he landed on the ground. Trump recounted a story suggesting that during the 2018 encounter in Iraq, Kane donned a MAGA hat and expressed strong support for him. In response to Senator Wicker's inquiry on this account, Kane said, "Sir, for 34 years, I've upheld my oath of office and my commitment to my commission. I've never worn any political merchandise." Further addressing this from Senator Jack Reed question, Kane actually added to the statements, "I went back and listened to those tapes, and I think the president was actually talking about somebody else. And I've never worn any political merchandise or said anything like that to that effect." Butchering the quote a bit, but that's basically what he's saying. Kane emphasized his dedication to providing unbiased military advice, asserting his commitment to retain an apolitical role. He acknowledged the unconventional nature of his nomination, but expressed readiness to serve, stating, "I acknowledge that I am an unconventional nominee. These are unconventional times." If it's confirmed, Kane will be the first chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to have never served at the rank of general, full general, or admiral upon assuming the position, and the first to have been retired at the time of their commission. So this is not so much as controversial as it may seem, because he does seem like a good guy, outstanding guy. He just didn't rise up to the very top levels, and he was basically done with his service, at least in the uniform part at the time. Now, here's where it gets dicey, and here's where you may get a little bias in my voice, because it's there. Donald Trump lies a lot. He tells fish tales. He goes off on tangents. He lies a lot. And in this case, the lies get mixed up where he's saying things that maybe he actually believes, but the whole truth about it isn't there. The transgender mice? No. Transgenic mice is a thing. Transgender? No. Raising Cane, a guy showed up there and said, "I love you, sir," and put on a MAGA hat while he's there. Mr. Raising Cane says, "Nah, it didn't really happen, but I'm happy to be here and go to work since I'm here." This is a testament to Mr. Trump, not Lieutenant General Kane or any of the folks that kind of get wrapped up in these webs of things. As we have suspected, the whole encounter was a bit of bluster. The whole thing was mostly nonsense. And the reason why Lieutenant General Kane is there, while he'll probably do a fine job, seems like a good guy from here, is all a smokescreen to what's actually happening. The question is, no one really knows what's actually happening. A lot of things are happening. No one really understands what is actually happening. The sleight of hand by Mr. Trump, whether it be genius or just being, just a very useful idiot, is apparent. I'm not going to reuse the line useful idiot, but apparently we do have some resolution for Mayor Eric Adams, as a judge has dismissed the corruption case against him and criticizes the Trump administration deal that basically got us here, which should have happened. A federal judge has actually dismissed the corruption case. It's actually done against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. It's got a lot of people fired in the process who didn't want to do that. Delivered a significant victory for the embattled mayor. U.S. District Judge Dale Hull ruled to dismiss the case with prejudice, which means it can't be refiled. It's officially gone forever. He can't put it back before the court because he says we don't need to deal with this anymore. Now, the Justice Department actually sought to dismiss the charges without prejudice in the first place, which would have allowed the possibility of opening the case for the future, giving Adams not the get-out-of-jail-free card he thought he was going to get. But he got it. But Judge Hoge actually criticized the approach that the government went to, suggesting it could have perceived as a political maneuver to gain leverage over Mayor Adams, essentially offering him a favor for that get-out-of-jail-free card that he wanted, which is exactly what he wanted. But he got it anyway, not so much because the government pushed for it, but because the judge just said it just wasn't worth the time. Basically saying it more beholden to the demands of the federal government than to the wishes of his own constituents. And so the judge has allowed him that non-prejudice ruling so he can be free to get his work done, and get his work done not because Trump says, hey, I did you a favor, but because Eric Adams needs to get back to work, which is fair. That's fair. Now, the biggest things going on is the reason why he was actually charged in the first place. Allegations of bribery, accepting illegal campaign contributions from Turkey for why he was hooking up with Turkey. He's in Turkish sitcoms. It's just a thing, but it's just what it is. Judge Ho's ruling does not actually have exoneration. In fact, he said so, but it does not address the actual merits of the case. But it's gone. It is done. Now Mayor Adams faces working to run New York City, which he was already doing, and facing some challengers for his next election, including Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's looking for his comeback, his redemption story, and wants to dunk on Eric Adams in the process. Will it work out that way? We shall see. Quick stop from the news stories. We promise you 8. We'll give you 8. 4 stories down, 4 more to go. But we need you to help us grow our standing here on the internet, help to grow our News Nerd Nation, if you will. We need you to like, share, and subscribe to the work we're doing here on the Conversation Project. This video here, coming to you on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube, is our prime offering every day. The things you might have heard, the 8 stories or 10 stories on Monday, that are the big stories we do to make a conversation of things that are going on that people want to talk about, not just what's on all TV all night, because all night they talked about tariffs and Liberation Day. Some of these stories here, some are more important than others, but some of these stories get missed out when you're watching cable news or looking for the 30-minute updates in the actual primetime news that's still left, or scanning through the websites for the mainstream stuff, because you put the biggest things on page 1 and the smaller, sometimes important things, sometimes just interesting things down inside of other places that never get seen. We scour the internet for many things to get you all the stories we can. If you like these stories that we actually choose for you, or I should say you help us choose with us, like the video, like the audio, like what you're engaging in right now, so we know that we're doing the right stuff. We're getting you good confirmation, good information, and the feeds will hopefully send these to other folks to see it as well, to grow our actual viewing stature. If you know people who enjoy this stuff off the bat, share it with them as well. And if you aren't getting this natively in your feeds, you're not seeing it pop up, whether in notifications or just in general scanning of your YouTube, your Facebook, or your X, subscribe. Like, follow, do whatever you have to do at that place, but like, share, and subscribe to the work we're doing so that we can have more people engaged, a greater base for conversations, greater base for input, greater conversations for all. I don't want to say no one cares about Ja Morant, because a lot of people do care. People who are basketball fans love him. Grizzlies fans obviously love him. He is a gem here in the South and in Memphis. The problem is people in general don't care about him as a person, as a player, as an icon, as a figure of public interest until he does something crazy, stupid, dumb, or just outright mean. And he's done it again. Maybe. NBA investigates Ja Morant over now his new finger guns gesture. He is currently being an investigation, that is the Memphis Grizzlies guard, for making a finger gun gesture towards the Golden State Warriors bench during a game on April 1st. The incident occurred late in the fourth quarter of the Warriors' 134-125 victory over the Grizzlies. But with a timeout with 20.1 seconds remaining, Morant extended his left arm towards the Warriors bench, mimicking a shooting motion with his hand. The action was reportedly in response to a similar gesture made earlier by Warriors guard Buddy Hield. You may remember him from the bench. Both players received technical fouls for their actions, so they both got punished in the moment. The league's actually investigating, going deeper into both Morant and Hield. But Morant's previous indictments, previous incidents, previous things he's done involving firearms may get a bit more intensified because he's getting scrutiny. He got suspended for guns. Bad thing. But he's also facing suspensions from other things as well. So there's all that wrapped in there. Now, Buddy Hield, who is making a name for himself as a bench guy for the most part, and as a player who started off in Division III at coming into the station and making his way into the scene as someone who's actually putting in minutes and putting in something that really means something. And Ja Morant is a star. He should be a star, but he keeps getting in trouble and keeps being pushed back. And, of course, he plays for Memphis, which is a middling to fairly good team on most parts. They had a great shot a few years back, but they aren't the Lakers. They aren't the Knicks. They aren't the Spurs. They aren't even the Nuggets. They don't have the profile that's going on because they happen to be in Memphis. We'll see what happens with Morant going forward and the Grizzlies as well, and a little Buddy Hield as well with this investigation. Dawn Staley has issues to deal with because she's trying to go for a repeating shot at a national championship, but she's right now facing some calls for an investigation over some controversies with officials in the NCAA. The recent NCAA women's basketball tournament game sparked a little bit of controversy over officiating and leads to investigations into potential biases favoring South Carolina and the head coach of the team, Dawn Staley. Critics allege that Staley receives preferred treatment from referees. She gets the calls. They influence the game in her favor or her team's favor. During the Elite Eight game for South Carolina versus Duke, fans and analysts questioned the disparity on foul calls, with Duke committing 18 fouls to South Carolina's 13. This led to Duke's attempting 13 free throws compared to South Carolina's 20, prompting Duke's coach, Kara Lawson, to express frustration over the officiating. Social media platforms have amplified these concerns, with users demanding the NCAA investigate into officiating standards towards games with Staley in them. One user remarked, "There needs to be an investigation into these refs at the NCAA. I am watching Dawn Staley comfortable coming on the floor, scolding the ref, and her team is following the bleep out of people with no whistles." Staley previously addressed officiating controversies following the 2023 Women's National Championship game officiating, defending the referees, emphasizing the qualifications of her players and herself, and saying, "So the independent review was done under my anonymity, but it is known who the officials were. All black and brown-skinned women. Now that they're now being thrown on the bus, let's not run them over." Sorry for the bad butchering of that one, but this is a bigger thing. So we will see if there'll be more looks into Miss Staley's actions, into her team's actions, and into the actions surrounding the actual refs in her games. Is she getting a preferential treatment? Is she getting preferred treatment? Let's just say preferred treatment. It seems to look that way, but let's let the actual investigation pursue. I have touted the accolades of John Cena, a pretty good actor, a fairly good wrestler. Try to get his way into bodybuilding and turn into wrestling directly. His father was into wrestling, which sort of helped that going on. And a guy who just seems like a very good guy. You may have watched the Divas thing with him and his former fiance, one of the Bellas, and thought, well, maybe there's issues there. There's always issues in relationships. But John Cena seems to be like a cool guy. And I am so in love with evil John Cena right now, even though he is slated to lose. They may trick me and throw in the win just to give him that title so he can beat Ric Flair and maybe say woo a couple times. But a bit of serious note, as John Cena actually revealed recently that he had a quick bout with skin cancer and talked about the importance of protection from the sun. A recent interview, he revealed that he was diagnosed with skin cancer twice, attributing to incidents in his earlier neglect of sunscreen use, essentially in his bodybuilding time. Growing up near Newbury, Massachusetts, and later residing in Florida, he admitted to being stubborn about adopting sun protection, believing that the issue wasn't his problem. His first occurred, identified, and removed a cancerous spot from his right pectoral area. A year later, another spot was found removed from his right shoulder. Respecting what happened and reflecting on experiences going back, he expressed his gratitude to his dermatologist's guidance and now views the resulting scars that he has as reminders of daily sun protection. Motivated by personal health and challenges themselves, he's partnered with Neutrogena. So yeah, there's a ad to come into this to sunscreen you can't see because you can't see them. The campaign aims to bring awareness to critical roles of sunscreen preventing skin cancer and reminding folks that it's something you don't think about. It's something that's not seen. It's something you do and you just go along with it, but it can actually save lives. So John Cena still out there doing ads, still out there and give mean mugging when he has to for the cameras, still doing Make-A-Wish things because people understand that John Cena the dude and John Cena the character are two different people, and still making money off of you can't see me. And finally, wrapping up today, Barack Obama may not be out there shaking hands and kissing babies to make a third run in presidency, but he's out there wandering the streets of D.C. and photobombing people. Like literally. If you're watching the video, because hopefully today there's a video, here's a picture of Barack Obama photobombing a family doing some shoots at the D.C. cherry blossoms. The cherry blossoms are all a thing. They're everywhere. The people who live in D.C. are hiding away because they don't want all the tourists in their way. The tourists are getting in their way anyway. But the tidal basin amid D.C.'s big flourish of cherry blossoms are beautiful, are wonderful. And former President Barack Obama wanted to enjoy the time there as well, just wandering through the streets, just seeing what's going on. And in the process, it's just sort of being your average, old school dad and photobombing people without thinking about it. Portia Moore and her husband, Damian Thomas, were focused on capturing images of their children, Belle and Preston, who were standing around enjoying the scenery when Damian noticed Obama strolling by. Initially unaware, Portia later realized an unexpected cameo and confirmed it with a photographer. That yes, while taking pictures of the kids and saying, hey, that looks like Barack Obama, looked at their picture and said, hey, that looks like Barack Obama standing behind our kids. The moment was captured. It's now famous of him just walking around casually behind some children standing in front of the Washington Monument and looking at cherry blossoms. Gained attention online with what's going on. Obama responded humorously saying, Preston and Belle, I hope you enjoyed peak bloom. My bad for stepping into the shot. I do bad impressions, a very bad Obama impression, but they all are very bad, so you got to kind of give that one. This serendipitous, another word I'm not saying well today, encounter delighted the Moore family and resonated with many, highlighting the charm of unexpected moments during DC's cherry blossom season. Now, maybe Newt Gingrich is next to wandering through somebody's picture. Might see Matt Gaetz someplace. That might be a bit scary. But hey, this is what you do. Tourists come to town to see the cherry blossoms, and they do the tourist things, taking pictures, mugging all over the place. And there you have Barack Obama just, on a stroll, going to pick up lunch, going to have a meeting, just jumping into people's pictures. Not quite doing, bunny ears. That would have been hilarious. But still doing the Obama thing, being, everybody's, kind of wonky dad, just not quite understanding what's going on, and probably wearing mom jeans. Can't see because the picture of Preston standing in the way, but probably wearing mom jeans in the process. Thank you for sticking with us for today. We appreciate everybody who sent the messages about yesterday and the way we produced the video yesterday, which was not a video, it was a static image with the audio behind it, because I'm watching the audio play here. I had issues with my recorder. It just would not record. In fact, it took about 10 minutes of attempts this morning, so we're running a little late today to get the recorder actually moving. We got it going. Hopefully, since I'm saying these words live, by the time we pull this card, there actually is a video here to give to you. We shall see. In the meantime, we're at the part where we get to our teaser section. That is where you see this graphic here. And we talk about the stories that got into today's rundown and stories to come for tomorrow and in the future. Now, we have sites, we have links, we have places on Facebook and X. Facebook.com/This Is Conversation Project and X.com/TH_conversation. What you get at those places is us, me, going through, scouring various news sources, various websites, various aggregators for stories that seem interesting, as we say, conversational. We give you the chance to tell us if they're interesting, as we say, conversational, and get the chance to get them picked into the stories for our main highlights here. And it's very simple. You go to those feeds when you're checking your other stuff on X or on Facebook and see what we're doing, see what we're talking about. If you see a news story that is interesting, that engaging, something you want to chat about, whether it's for the love of it or for the hate of it, engage in it. Hit the right emoji face for Facebook, hit the like button for X, and go with that one. Reply to it. Have a conversation with people in the comments, in the Twitterverse, on the Facebook-ish, and have stuff going there. Say what you want to say about that so I get more insight on what you're thinking about these stories. Share it with other folks so more people can see it, engage in it as well. The higher a score of engagement, literally, the more a story gets engaged, the better chance we have to talk about it in the next iteration. We'll tomorrow, just like today, have 8 stories on the docket for you to review here, or be reviewed by me, if you will. We'll take the top half of stories. We'll get about 30 or so stories in the span of 30 hours or so. We'll get about 30 or 28 hours, something like that. We'll get a span of 30 stories. We'll choose from the top half, 15, 16 or so there in the half part, and give you 8 of those stories in this format here. Now, we tease a story here just to kind of make this section kind of fun when we explain stuff. And the story that we're teasing happens to go along with Liberation Day. So there's that big chart that Donald Trump had that a lot of nations, a lot of places, what they're charging us and what we're going to charge them in return. And of course, we're asking them not to return charge. However, 2 of those targets are islands that have a absurd twist to the actual tariffs. There are 2 islands that I guess are charging us tariffs that we're going to charge them back in reciprocal manner, and they shouldn't charge us back. No one lives in those islands. 2 uninhabited islands, or uninhabited, if you will, are being charged tariffs. Hit the link for the story, read it, understand what's going on, go deeper into the detail of what is maybe one of the odder things that's happening in the Trump administration only 70 days in or so. And we can discuss this if you deem this one worthy by engaging in the story online. Now, yesterday we teased Val Kilmer and his passing. We were going to go ahead and pull some stuff off for that one, but we decided we gave a lot of love to him yesterday. We'll give a little more love today on Val Kilmer dying at the age of 65, star of movies like Top Gun, Batman Forever, and Tombstone, among a lot of other things. Of course, coming back for Top Gun Maverick and just having fun with the character. A Juilliard-trained actor who got known for some sort of plot twist type things and just iconic roles, especially being Doc Holliday in Tombstone, and of course Iceman. Iceman is for a generation. Iceman is the man. So we give more flowers and more love to those who are missing the passing of Val Kilmer today. A quick stop by for very boring business advice again, because we're going to hype this thing up all week. We'll do it tomorrow. I'm just going to tell you right now. So if you sign up today, you'll still see it tomorrow. Now, this is something that is a sponsor that costs you nothing for just following along, and it may actually gain you something, may get you a little bit of extra money in your portfolio, in your pocket, in your IRA, how you want to do that. The sponsor that goes deeper into this is Robinhood. So if you click on links at the website for very boring business advice or links inside the newsletters, most of those links, there's many different affiliate links that are in the newsletters and on the website, but the big mounting sponsor for this is Robinhood, and we get a bit of a hit from them anytime you join on Robinhood. So if you're already a member, you get your stuff basically for free. Now, what I'm offering you here is very boring business, it says business advice. I got the wrong title. Very boring investment advice. I've been doing this for 3 days and just now realized the title on the slide is wrong. Very boring investment advice, and the newsletters from that one for 6 stocks to watch and the market week that was. What you're going to get from these newsletters, I promise you it is for investment advice, is every single weekday, 6 stocks to watch. These are stocks that are now going to be even more randomized than before. We found a larger list of stocks, and we're resetting now we've got a kind of a groove of how this thing works. We're resetting back from 0, going over stocks, looking through the days, looking how things are working out, and picking stocks that are performing well in the day, stocks that are performing not so well in the day, things that are in the news, and some stocks that are more or less dartboard picks, and some stocks that are literally failing as we're watching them. So you just see 6 stocks that would probably not be on your radar, or stocks that may need to be on your radar based on how you invest. The market week that was is a wrap-up of the week. It gives you the closings of openings and closings of 5 different stock market values, things that they use to track the markets. Also a wrap-up of how the market week went as well, and 5 to 6 stocks that had some news making things happen the week. Neither of these newsletters and none of the stuff at our website is investing advocacy. It's not advice. It is all it is for information purposes only, to help you learn and grow in your investing advice. We also post an article every Tuesday that goes along the lines of investing knowledge, how investments work, how savings works, how to get better at things. Some of them get a bit political. We have one recently on how to kind of weather the storm of this uncertainty that is what the administration is doing. And it's not harping against the administration. It's literally dealing with, if you don't know what's happening day by day based on the markets, because we have a rogue administration, and that's about as deep as I went with that one. Here's how you manage to weather the storm. And most of the things were basically stay involved, stay engaged, make sure you know what's happening, and make sure you have a good handle on what you can do and what you can't do, and make sure you know what things you're going to let sit and what things you may have to pull the trigger on to pull out, because they may happen. Or maybe you want to put money in something right now because the market is saying something wonky. It's like, hey, I'm going to take this bet and see what happens, assuming you have the right amount of funds. You're not putting your groceries, a beautiful old-timer word, on things like that. So you can get the newsletters for very boring investment advice, not business, the 6 stocks to watch and the market week that was, or go to the website that's the wrong website. The website that is veryboringinvestmentadvice.com, and get those things right there. Get the newsletters directly into your inbox, which help, or check out the website and get the weekly article. We don't post the article in the newsletter because that's sort of a thing that's exclusive to the actual website, and more exclusives coming. I am not a stock analyst. I am not an investment professional. I just like to keep an eye on the markets. It's numbers. It's things to watch. It's something that keeps me interested. And I am an investor in my own right. So as I am learning and growing and doing things, I'm sharing with other folks who may not be as advanced as I am, or showing people who are far more advanced where I am, and finding ways for them to find out us and find our folks that look at this and engage in this one. We may try to do some podcasting going forward. We may try to do some actual interviews with folks to get some things. I'm trying to work on some things with some YouTubers to get some email interviews, some text interviews to work on those as well. With all that rambling said, basically, I need you to go to the link inside of this presentation and go to Very Boring Investment Advice newsletters, not business advice, and check out the website, veryboringinvestmentadvice.com, to see what you can see there and hopefully learn a thing. As I said, the disclaimer, I am not an investment professional. These are not any triggers for you to buy, sell, or hold anything particular. These are just things as information purposes only, for learning purposes. This is for you to understand how the markets work. And if you want to use a platform like Robinhood, which we do get a commission from if you actually use our link to subscribe and join the app, this is conversationproject.com/Robinhood, and you still get one free stock as well for you to do your own investing or talk to a broker to invest on your behalf. Because we're running very long, I guess we're happy to have picture today and find faults in our slides. The Conversation Project lives online at thisistheconversationproject.com. We'll talk much more tomorrow and do all the hype we do on Fridays, as we do with the partnership links, people who want to be partners, help us out, and with the conversations that we get from people on our sponsors. People actually talk to us about how we pick our sponsors, and we do a pretty good job of picking the guys that, one, want to sponsor us, and two, aren't going against anything we don't believe in the background. We try not to do anything that's like tobacco. We do booze dogs especially, but we don't do anything that's like tobacco and things like that. No vaping and stuff like that. That's on those ends going forward. So check those out going forward. The biggest thing that you can do for us is to be engaged and help us have a good conversation, not just a one-way dialogue. It is simple. Go to our feeds on Facebook and X, engage in the story so we know what to talk about, and come back here and watch the videos or check the lines and see what's going on. Sign up for the newsletter and see what links we get to the stories there. And if something doesn't quite fit as well as you think it should, email me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com, and we shall see we can reconcile to get better stories into these here things. We are done for the day, at least for this part of the day. We thank you so much for being with us for the day. And apologize for getting back to having video only to watch me have coughing fits and hit the cough button many times. But thank you so much for joining us with the Conversation Project and what we're doing. We're hitting a bit of a lull. Since we're going long, might as well go longer. We're hitting a bit of a lull right now. We had some great gains going forward into the new year. And right now, as we hit April, the 4th month, going into the second quarter, the first month of the second quarter, we're seeing things, maybe they're normalizing. Maybe we're just sitting in a bit of a rough patch. Maybe we're in the dip, as Seth Godin would say. So we're looking for some help from you guys out there. I could use more comments. just in general on the stories, and some comments about how we're doing as well. So email me at the conversation inbox at gmail.com with any sort of suggestions, concerns, comments you have about that, or comment in the videos as they work or they don't work. We're working towards literally getting more in the way of funding and more in the way of background so we can get more people working on these things and get them done faster, more efficient, things like that. With the slowdown, we're not seeing that. So if you want to consider being a partner and want to have a little extra sway in things, that's fine. If you're looking for a way to help extremely cheaply because we can't pay very much and we want to make sure people do get their proper amount of cash and cheddar when these things happen, reach out to me and we can talk on some things going forward, and I can see if there's some ways to make some wiggle room in the coin purses. We'll see if Christine with a K will allow me to skip a dinner here or there. Probably not, but maybe we'll go to a more casual dining as opposed to Sonny Williams. Probably not, but we'll figure that out going forward. In the meantime, love you, mean it. I have to say this every time. I'm glad I'm saying it again, to be honest. Make sure you're staying limber, staying hydrated, staying on task for all the grand, fun, awesome things you are here on this earth to do. Your life is a marathon. Do not turn into a sprint. We'll see you again to wrap this thing up for the week. Video hopefully included, except for folks who listen on audio. I guess that'd be kind of weird. For things you might not have heard.